The Raven A2 was the only 462 Pacific ever built by the Northeastern Railway, but they were so late in the game that they're barely NER locomotives. They were designed by Sir Vincent Raven in an effort to keep up with Nigel Gresley's then new A1 class on the Great Northern Railway. I never knew Gresley Pacifics ran in tandem with Class 387s and Class 717s. Oh wait, that's the wrong Great Northern. The first two examples of Raven's design were built in 1922, less than a month before the NER became part of the London and North Eastern Railway, and another three were built in March 1924, with some differences from the NER-built locomotives. The engines built in 1922 were 2400 City of Newcastle and 2401 City of Kingston upon Hull, while those built under the LNER were 2402 City of York, 2403 City of Durham, and 2404 City of Ripon. All five namesake cities are in northeast England. Only 5 of these locomotives were ever built because, during trials in 1923, the A1 was shown to be more technologically advanced. In the end, 52 examples of Gresley's A1 class would be built, and all but one would go on to be rebuilt and redesignated as the A3 class. The Raven A2s performed adequately on the York to Newcastle section of the East Coast Main Line, and they were more powerful than Gresley's A1s, albeit somewhat bogged down by a higher coal consumption and limited route availability, the latter being a result of their long wheelbase. In 1929, locomotive number 2404 City of Ripon was rebuilt with an A1 style boiler in an attempt to improve her efficiency, but no noticeable improvements were achieved. Sadly, the Raven A2s were not a particularly long-lived class, as they were all withdrawn in 1936 and 1937 after failed attempts to improve their steaming, with none of them surviving into the British Railways era, let alone preservation. The Raven A2 was released for TS Classic near the end of August 2019, and as of mid-February 2026, the pack is still available on Caledonia Works' website for £15, or around 33 New Zealand dollars. As for what you get in the pack, we'll start off with the livery variants. The two realistic ones are Northeastern Railway Green and LNER Darlington Green, the latter being in either pre-1928 or post-1928 variants. There's also a variant of the post-1928 LNER livery without the air pump, labelled as VAC only. You also get 3 fictional liveries with this pack, namely LNER Wartime Black, British Railways Ultramarine, and BR Express Blue. Unfortunately, this pack doesn't include the modified variant of 2404 City of Ripon with the A1 style boiler. One of the first things I noticed on the A2 was just how long this thing looks. Imagine trying to use her as a dock shunter. Something I never noticed until I started work on this review was the Cartazzi trailing axle on the LNER built locomotives, which is a completely different design from what the two NER built locomotives had. In any case, all 5 A2s were originally built with 6-wheel tenders, but they were replaced by Gresley non-corridor tenders in the 1930s. Upon looking at the footplate, I remembered how much Mr. Wilson has improved his craft since 2019, although that's not to say that these textures on the A2 were bad for their time. I reckon they still hold up all these years later. The Raven A2s in TS Classic are built on SimNation's Locomotion 1.2 scripting, which means that they don't have the more advanced features you'd see on newer CW products, such as the LNER J36 and Highland Railway Strath class, for two random examples. For one thing, the A2 lacks a semi-advanced boiler heating system, but as for features that she has got, these include, but are not limited to, Performance Mode, multiple camera views, animated valve gear inside the frames, fire intensity synchronized with the exhaust beat, custom fully detailed cab, a little animated rod in the Westinghouse air pump, a customizable headlamp arrangement, and appropriate northeastern or LNER lamps depending on the chosen livery. More details on the other features and keyboard controls can be found in the manual. According to the listing on CW's website, the sounds for the A2 were not recorded from the real thing, for fairly obvious reasons. Instead, they were recorded from preserved LNER Y7 and Q7 locomotives, originally designated as the H and T3 classes respectively under the Northeastern Railway. It's worth noting that, as far as I know, the Q6 is the nearest thing to a Q7 that we've got in TS. As is usually the case with CW products, the A2 doesn't include any scenarios, but she does have quick drive consists that make use of coaches from Matrix trains. These consists require the NER/GNR non-corridor LNER pack, as well as all 5 of MT's Grizzly Teak packs and all 4 of their Pullman packs. The NER/GNR pack and 4 of the Grizzly packs are available on Steam, while the remaining requirements are on the Steam Sound Supreme website. During a test run from Glastonbury to Quantock Sands, on GAD's Great Western Levels route, I got 2404 City of Ripon up to an impressive 83.9 miles per hour with 7 Lancashire and Yorkshire coaches in tow. As an aside, the chuff sounds at around 27 miles per hour, which you heard in the earlier scene at Corfe Castle, are very reminiscent of the Dark Railway's number 1202. As for anything else I can say about the A2, I noticed that she has decent acceleration, but, like a lot of other engines I've driven, struggles to gain speed on gradients steeper than 1 in 100. And to make sure she gives her best performance, without referencing the obscure Tony Basil song Best Performance, you should keep the fire mass between 800 and 900 pounds on the F5 heads-up display, or between 60 and 65% on the F4. As for where I'd rate the Raven A2 from Caledonia Works, I'll settle for 7 out of 10. This is still a reasonably good add-on, considering her age.